hit go. I do believe we're live.
Indeed.
Yep, it says live. Let me go turn. Where's my chat? It's so funny. The energy is such a cluster. I feel like I can't remember how to do things.
You
I
know,
feel like
every time I'm on Zoom with a client, with a class, every single time I have to relearn how to use it, even though I use it practically daily. I just have to go, huh? How do I do this?
yeah, I'm finding that too. You know, some people are like, "Well, it's your age." I don't think it is. Like,
I've
because I've
noticed
got
from most of the people who are on Zoom all the time, they're like, because the buttons do move around. They
no, they
absolutely
literally do
do.
it. They're constantly adding stuff and taking stuff away, and where the hell did that go?
Keeps it interesting.
So, as you guys come in, welcome in, and please feel free to hit that like button and shares and bring your friends to join this conversation. Tonight's going to be a lot of fun. Kaedrich has had some posts on children's spirit. I didn't have time to stalk you today to see if you have any new posts on that I need to ask you about. So, no stalking today. Um, but we do have some pretty fun conversations at hand. So, hi, Miss Arva. Hi, Joanne. I'm on it. I'm on YouTube. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I see that. It shows how you come on. So just like and share and bring a friend. Okay. All right. So I don't know where we want to start first. We want to dive right into children's spirits, children in spirit. Can children in spirit get lost? Can children in spirit visit homes where they never lived? And I had a really interesting thing come up about that too that I would love to share as well. So I know you know that what I do for a living, and I teach a lot about etheric cords, those cords of attachment that we have to persons, places, things. And I recently was working with, I recently taught a class on that, and I was working with a client the following day, and she is a therapist, and one of her clients' relatives who had just passed away stepped forward. And she's like, I've never seen, I don't know who that is. She knew that it was connected to her friend or her client, but she didn't know who it was. And what Spirit said was, we tracked her through her cords. And I was like, well, that's freaking phenomenal. And so the cool thing about that is your guides put you where you need to be to learn what you need to learn and to I was just in that frame where I was learning. Well, I'm learning, I was teaching this. So it was cool that this person showed up to say, I found her because she's connected to my sister and I tracked the cords.
That's excellent. Excellent. Yeah, we all have cords connecting us, even if it's a brief one, like you're going to the grocery store, talking to the cashier. There's a momentary one because you can feel them, you recognize their presence,
Yeah.
but the longer we're with people, the more intimate we are,
Yes.
the stronger those cords become, which is why our birth, not necessarily birth family, but the family we grew up in, there's the way to say it, the family we grew up with has some of the strongest cords with us because they showed up at a highly influential age. They stuck with us and they, even just cognitively, mentally, they know our buttons. They know how to
Yeah.
say things in a certain way that everybody else would miss, but we're feeling that energy. So
Yeah.
there are cords everywhere.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I just found it fascinating that they track cords. Now I've had them come in a lot. Like somebody that we barely even know will show up in a reading. Like I just hardly knew them. Doesn't matter. If they feel like there's a reason to step forward or share something, they'll step forward. That's my experience with that. So,
Yeah,
okay, do we want to jump into children?
let's do it.
Okay, so you have been doing quite a few posts. I don't know recently, but you did about children showing up and how people might be scared of them, or children possibly getting lost after they leave the physical. And so I thought I'll hand that to you and let you start talking about that.
Yeah, children, just like grown-ups, they're spirits, they're physical beings, and childhood is interesting for a spirit. We'll kind of go right back to the beginning. When we are children, one of the most important things that we need to learn as children is how to process sensory information, how to move the body, how to talk, how to exist, and then how to fit into our family, how to fit into the culture that's around us. Those are all of those aspects of childhood that we probably don't remember, and there's a good reason why, but we have to learn that. And the same is true when we get out of our body, we go into the spirit world. Unless you've been doing your spiritual work while you're alive, unless you've been going to the other side and exploring, when you get over there, you have to learn how your spiritual senses work. You have to learn how to move in the spirit world. You have to learn how to interact and talk and communicate with people. So your initial period of time after death is a childhood in the spirit realm where you're learning all of that stuff, because you got to reorient to that.
I do agree with the reorient completely. I've seen that where people are like, shit.
And it sort of almost begs an interesting question. Why don't we remember our past lives? We've had many lifetimes, but why don't we? And I'm going to do a video on this coming up soon too. There's all these mythological reasons. There's the cake of forgetfulness. My mom always said we eat the cake of forgetfulness before we come into this life.
Right.
Or there's the veil of not remembering, whatever it's called. But the reason why we don't remember past lives is actually biological. Because babies' brains are not fully formed yet.
Correct.
The memory centers are not connected. The hippocampus is not fully connected to the brain. And so the soul may come into the body with full memory, but then it has to integrate it. It has to use the brain to process sensory information and move the body. And literally, the brain does not remember what's going on with a past life. It's not because we're forced to forget. It's just we physically cannot. But as you go through your life, you're developing your spiritual abilities. You can do past life regressions. You can go between lives, and then you can start remembering. Like, I have a pretty clear recollection of several of my lifetimes, and I see the arc of what I'm learning through those lifetimes and how it carried through into this one. So that's why we don't remember. It's just the brain figuring out how to be a brain.
So I feel like part of the reason we don't remember is because we are here to learn and to have experiences. And it's like if you're taking the test and you have all the answers, you don't need to take the test.
Spoilers. Guides show up all the time. Clients are going through some challenging situations and they want some guidance, and the spirits will go like, yeah, here you go. Here's the things you want to do. Here's the direction you want to go. And they're like, well, what am I going to get out of this? And they're like, spoilers. We're not telling you. Because the information would be useless if you didn't figure it out first person.
Yeah.
If we just told it to you, you'd be like, well, okay. Well, then I don't need. So, no, we have to go through this stuff, and they won't tell us what it is, but they'll nudge us in the right direction.
Yep. So here's a question I'm going to throw up here real quick. So she says it's a sensitive one. It can be. I don't mean to offend. When a pregnancy is lost, does soul stand by for another possible pregnancy? I haven't seen that. Now I know that, actually, I can't say I've never seen it because I feel like I've seen it maybe a few times, but as a rule of thumb, no, because that soul may have just needed that time in the womb. Now, my understanding of that, my experience with that too, is they don't always come in early. Sometimes they come in when they're born, the soul being the soul. Doesn't always show up because they don't want to hang around in there because it's hot and sticky.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of reasons. And one of the things that is the hardest sometimes for us to understand is humans, when we're trying to connect spiritually and we have this notion in mind that there is a great cosmic reason for everything that happens. Working with the whispers, my guides, their answer to some things is, well, accidents sometimes happen. Things we didn't plan for, didn't account for, happen. And so that's where the soul can go, okay, great. I'll find another thing to connect with. Sometimes the soul chickens out. It's like, no, that last time was a little too tough. I need some more time. Let me just kind of take a break here, So
no, dude, that could. My son actually came through in a hypnotherapy session. I had hired a hypnotherapist, and he was like, "I'm not coming back anytime soon." It's like that was a lot. That was a lot.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And, there's a lot of variables. And sometimes all that soul needed was just that time. It's heartbreaking. But it's like the whispers are here now, and they say this may be a hard lesson for parents to catch. But imagine a soul that doesn't know what love is, doesn't feel love, is refusing love on the other side. It's just because whatever reason it has, doesn't feel it deserves it, doesn't think it's a real thing. And maybe its only lesson in this lifetime was just to have that moment to be held and to be loved unconditionally just for being in existence and to feel that for a moment. And they got that one little piece that they needed and they said, okay, I see the light. I feel the light. I'm ready to go do my next level of work. The baby gets lost. That soul got what moment it needed for that lesson that it can be loved just for who it is. No reason why, just unconditionally, immediately. And then it hits to the other side and it's like, okay,
pure love.
I'm ready to do my shadow work. I'm ready to do my healing now because I know I can be loved. And as heartbreaking it is for a parent to lose that child, think about it this way. You gave that soul exactly what it needed.
That is
You were its
exactly.
teacher, and you
That
gave
is
it everything it needed, even in that briefest amount of time.
I say that to so many mamas. That's exactly what your soul signed up to carry that baby. Your soul signed up for the lesson, and that's hard because some mamas don't want to hear that.
Nope.
But you know what? You did a beautiful thing. Your soul did a beautiful thing, giving that soul an opportunity. So I think so many moms are worried that their babies are mad or that they're going to get on the other side and they're going to disown them or they'll be upset with them. Like, I've never seen that.
I've seen the
I,
opposite. I've seen the gratitude.
thank you.
I've seen that
Thank you.
where they're like,
Yeah.
thank you for this. I didn't know I needed that, but when you gave it to me, and
Yeah.
the whispers are like filling me with all sorts of energy about that. They're
Okay,
like,
tell me about the whispers.
whispers?
Is that what you call is that your guides?
Yeah.
You call them the whispers. I freaking love that.
It's because they talk so quietly.
Yes.
The din of our mind, all of the monkey mind noises that it makes, they're that little subtle voice that you can hear in the silence.
Yeah. I think we answered her question. Miss Amber, did that answer? I don't believe they moved to somebody else because they signed up with that experience through the person who they came through. So I don't believe that soul's like, oops, I'm going to go somewhere else. That has not been what I've seen in my sessions. But that is a great question. Okay.
But yeah, let's talk more about kids while we got
Let's
this
do it.
time here. Kids,
Let's do it.
just like adults, just like people of all ages, sometimes death comes suddenly. Sometimes they're not ready for it. Sometimes they don't know what happens. And just like every other spirit, they still exist, but they're confused. They're a little disoriented. They're lost. This sucks to say this, but they're kind of reaching out for help, just like adults do, looking for some guidance, but nobody has the capability to acknowledge them. They can't be seen. They can't be heard just because most people, at least in the Western culture that I grew up in, most people do not let themselves have the awareness of spirits around them. And so those kids tend to go wherever they go, exploring, looking for something familiar, looking for something comfortable. I once worked with a paranormal investigator who was doing an investigation in New Orleans at a mass grave site.
Oh.
And he picked up a spirit, a little boy spirit named Billy. Now, the reason why this happened is that investigator is also a paramedic. He's an EMS. Oh. He was a very compassionate, caring person. And here's this little kid that needs somebody to care for it. And so they found this mutual connection. But funny, not funny, every time he would go do an investigation, Billy would show up. Billy would make all the monitors go off. Billy's voice would come through all the devices, and maybe that place was not a hotbed of paranormal activity at all, but Billy was there playing with all the toys, muddying the data.
Oh my gosh.
And so it took a little bit of work to let Billy cross over, let the investigator, be free with Billy. But in a weird sense, they got what they needed. The investigator that needed care for somebody who needed it. That little boy needed some care. And so there was a better way of helping that little boy get the care and attention that he needed without messing with all the paranormal investigators' equipment.
So the paramedic unintentionally pulled that energy in?
Not cognitively. And this is a thing that we have to be aware of with attachments. We don't consciously, cognitively accept an attachment.
No.
But there's something I call an energetic anchor point where it's like a homogeneous energy. It is an agreement. Some people call it affinity. Affinity is a good word for it. That they connect. There's that little cord that connects and
Yeah.
it attaches through something similar. And then they build that relationship dynamic.
They kind of have to be a match for one another.
Kind of. It's not always true. Sometimes there are resentful, angry spirits that don't like what they're seeing and they kind of want to mess it up, but they don't have the same kind of cord. They don't have the same kind of deep attachment. But we still, like my wife and I, we are working in the whole paranormal resolution field, and we don't do exorcisms or banishing. We don't do fighting and antagonizing. We don't do any of that. We do exactly what the exorcist said don't do. We talk to the spirits. We find out who they are, what's going on with them, what they need, and then we find a better solution for that spirit rather than exorcising them, banish. I mean,
to me, that would just, I feel like that's just antagonistic. That's just my thought on that. But
yeah, watching those paranormal investigator shows and they just start to antagonize the spirits. I'm like, come on. Take a step back. Let's find out what's really going on here instead of trying to upset something to make your little monitor go bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah, for likes. That's all over the internet right now. Let's just piss things off. Let's piss people off for likes.
But those little kid spirits, they just need that compassion. They just need somebody to say, I get you. You need some help. And reach out to your guides. If you don't know what to do, reach out to your guides. Ask for their guides to be here. It's those cords, those mutual cords that we have.
Yes.
That you can reach out to them and they will show up. They will show up. Yes. And I have seen many a happy reunion. People coming around and go, oh, there you are. I've been looking for you. And they're like, I've been looking for you. And it's like, done.
Yeah. That's a whole nother story we'll have to talk about sometime, is finding other people through cords too, or being found through somebody's cord in a visitation and have somebody show up in your dreams. Because they will absolutely do that too, to let you know they're okay. What do you recommend to people who think they have a little child running around their house?
Well, find out more about it. Suddenly I'm reminded of Dr. Bradley. I always love telling Dr. Bradley's story. I finally got his book. His book was written back in the 60s with his wife. And interesting thing about Dr. Bradley, he is the guy who developed the natural childbirth method. And he held seances regularly in his house, Dr. Robert Bradley. He held seances regularly in his house, and he was my mom's obstetrician when she was pregnant with me. So I was literally born into the paranormal.
Yeah, I need
literally.
Yes, nope, that's not him. There's a lot of Dr. Robert Bradleys.
Interesting. And how he got started with the paranormal was he bought this beautiful house in the Denver area, big, beautiful house. And he's a doctor, obstetrician, doesn't believe in the paranormal, no ghosts, no spirits, none of that stuff. Until early one morning, he's sitting down in his parlor and watches a heavy cigar lighter lift up off the table and come back down. And he's like, This starts off a cascade of events, which we'll talk about later. Complex hauntings is what I call them. And there were bad things going on in the house, like something trying to push him down the stairs, a mirror breaking. He's got he's dead now, but he has a scar on his neck from where the glass cut his neck. And I've attended his lectures at the spiritualist church I grew up going to. And his story, part of it, got made into the movie The Changeling with George C. Scott back in the 70s.
I feel like I've seen that. Okay.
It's a scary movie. But when Dr. Bradley finally brought in mediums and had a seance in his house, he found there was a scared little boy in the house who unfortunately died, and he's just looking for somebody. And immediately the doctor's compassion came in. Do no harm came in. He was just now immediately going, how do I help this child? What does this kid need? How can we work together? And instantly the negative stuff stopped, because the negative stuff was self-generated, was human-generated. There's an interesting parapsychological term for that: persistent, spontaneous telekinetic activity.
Interesting.
It's what we call poltergeists. That's the technical term
Yeah,
for poltergeists.
but that's more created by the human, correct?
Yep. So he created a thought form. He was creating the the telekinetic events, the poltergeist events. Meanwhile, there's a scared little kid in the house because the kid's seeing all this scary stuff.
Yeah.
And that changed the doctor's approach to everything. And then he had wonderful seances. He found there were other spirits in the house. Activity was going on all the time, and it was fun. And they were just like, yeah,
Having
cool.
a good time.
Having a good time. And they coexisted with the spirits in their house like no big deal.
Show of hands, who has a party with spirits in their house?
Right?
Oh, that's crazy. It's cool, but it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So if you find a little kid in your house, ask it if it needs help. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just wants to hang out and play. Maybe it just likes the feeling of your house and its energy, which leads into a very interesting thing to think about. It might not be a kid. Sometimes when we see a child spirit, it looks like a child, it acts like a child, but it's not talking like a child, because spirits don't have to retain any shape they want.
No, exactly.
Whatever. They're not limited. They can be whatever they want to be. For example, if a person dies as a child, maybe they weren't too thrilled with that lifetime, but they loved who they were the lifetime before. So now they're going to walk around, maybe they died as a little girl in the lifetime, but the lifetime before they were an older man. So now they're going to show up as an older man. And it's like, what? The opposite's true. Sometimes it might be an advanced spirit, a higher level being, and it's showing up as a child in symbolic form to let you know there's nothing to be afraid of, that it's not threatening in any sort of way, and that it's there to be playful because, like you said, the spirits are having a party on the other side. They're having a great time. And when we're so serious and morose over here, they tend to go, what's wrong with you? And so they might show up in a kid form to go, and that happens at every one of my seances.
So what do you think about the shows that if there's a little kid, they say it's a demon?
There's been a movement going on for the past several decades to really move people away from communicating with spirits and really shutting down people's spiritual abilities. And as human beings, fear is a very, very strong motivator.
Dude.
It shuts down our critical thinking ability. We don't look for deeper answers. If something scares us, we stay away from it. And it's what kept our Paleolithic ancestors alive. It's a biological hardwired program that kept our ancient ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years. It's not serving us today. And so a lot of different organizations have weaponized fear to motivate people into their doctrine, into their way of doing things. And it could be religious, it could be political, it could be social, it could be even corporations. They weaponized fear because they know it's a powerful motivator. We can't think when we're afraid. We literally can't think because the amygdala will not alert the prefrontal cortex, and all of the blood and electricity goes into our brainstem and limbic system. And so we just take the voice of authority as the truth and we go with it. And so nobody's questioning, that's not a little kid, that's a demon. No one's questioning, that's not grandma, that's a demon, because they're afraid. They're like, I don't want to find out for myself. You're right.
And have you noticed how they've taken off the shows that debunk it, but they've left the ones that create more fear?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, isn't that interesting?
I've seen that on my Instagram posts. If I start with a title and my opening lines in my Instagram post are fear-based, they're scary, they get more people watching them than this is what I'll say about Ouija boards. You see a lot of TikTok videos of scary incidences with a Ouija board. But if you had a TikTok video with somebody using a Ouija board normally that know what they're doing, no one's going to want to watch it. It's boring.
If you do it correctly. And I tell people that if you used it and I ask people to put themselves in light, because for me, it's like you open a door, you don't know what's on the other side. You do want to be aware of that. So I just tell people, call in light, protect yourself. I call it a spiritual condom.
Yep. Similarities attract and perpetuate. If you go into it scared and afraid and certain something bad's going to happen, well,
Ta-da!
you're not going to let yourself down. Right. But if you go into it calm, peaceful, connected to the sacred, you've done some initial meditation, you've done some room clearing, You're going to have a very boring video, but you're going to have a profound experience.
Yeah. Yeah. But that doesn't sell either. Fear
Nope.
does.
Nope. So that's why those stories
Toxic energy.
persisted so long. They sell.
It's really sad is if people realize that. I mean, and I think some do, they just keep getting drawn to the same toxic stuff over and over that's drawing down their vibration and bringing in fear and creating chaos. And
I mean, I got another example of that. I've got a good friend who is a semi-regular on one of the more popular paranormal investigator shows.
Mhm.
She's a good, compassionate, loving person.
I
And when
think
she,
I've seen her. I think I've seen one of your interviews with her. She interviewed you. Patty? Is it
yep,
Patty? Yeah, Negri. Is that how you
yep,
say her last name?
that's her. She's
Yeah.
really great. She knows what she's doing. She's very compassionate. And she's told me there's been a couple times she's on the show and that she's noticed the spirits were in distress. And so she does her work there to help those spirits out and help them move and get the healing and the transition they need. Never makes it to the show. Ever.
Isn't that? And that's a popular show. That's the one with Zach.
Yep.
Yeah, if I could
But
say
if,
it. I could
but
say
if
his
somebody off screen drops something and makes a boom noise, everybody is going, oh, and that makes it on air.
See? Shit. I've seen some of her work and she seems like a phenomenal human. So,
She's wonderful.
oh, that's awesome. Okay. Well, so we kind of digressed a little bit, but I feel like that stuff is so important for people to know.
Absolutely.
Just that fear really does lower your vibration. It really does. It gives control to people. It's just not great. It's just not great.
Right.
Do you go ahead?
Oh, nope, that's it.
I was going to ask, what is your we can talk about creepy experiences. I've had a few. What is your creepiest experience? Or are you all just like, nope?
You know, I have to think about that one because I've seen and helped quite a number of people with pretty scary experiences. But when we resolve it, it's not scary anymore because it never really was. But it's like when some of the stuff, like I put out a video recently what it was like growing up in a haunted house.
Oh, nice.
And one of the questions I get asked is just that. What was the scariest thing about living in a haunted house? What was the most creepiest thing that happened in the haunted house? And I had to think about that. The scariest thing was because I've always watched horror movies. You know, I saw The Exorcist when I was 7 years old. That
Right.
scared me. I saw, The Changeling and all these other movies as a kid. And I knew I lived in a house full of spirits. And so I'm trying to reconcile what I'm seeing in these movies, which are very convincing, especially to a,
Yes.
child. And I would be like scared to death of what's going on. And then I kept trying to figure this out, but there's nothing scary happening. It's like toilet flush, TV changing channel,
It's a woohoo.
things moving around or disappearing. It's like nothing scary happened. I mean, even sitting in seance going up at church, I went to a spiritualist church. There was
Right.
seance every Saturday night. For the first few times, I'm like, oh, no. It was nothing. So the scariest part about growing up, the creepiest thing I had was trying to understand why these movies and why all these people were saying such scary, awful things. And I was just waiting for that shoe to drop. And it never
Interesting.
came. It never happened. I was just like, oh, so maybe the scariest thing is just how believable and how pervasive those fear-based stories
Yeah.
are. But then the more you start to interact with the paranormal, the more you start to see what it really is and just how bogus those movies are.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I recently just kind of did a Conjuring series marathon. We're watching these movies and we're laughing all the way through them. We're just having a good time. It's just like they say the silliest thing, like a witch's power or the devil's power is most powerful when it's nighttime. And we're like, what?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear fed to control.
They just say such silly things, but they're fun movies. We like watching them.
They're fun.
But there's like
I can't watch them. I watched The Exorcist when I was a little kid, and I'm still scarred.
I'm gonna do a video on Instagram and then a longer one on YouTube coming up soon about 5 things that The Exorcist got wrong and the one thing it got right.
What did it get right? Can
The
you
attack is
tell
always
us?
psychological.
Dude, I believe that. I believe that. Because I honestly feel that we have to be a match to it. And if we think something's going to get us, we're right. Or if we give I think we give our power away because I feel like we're born with dominion. We're born with that. But we're told from the time we're tiny, we don't. It's going to get you. It's something's going to bite you. That's going to eat you.
And
Don't mess with that. That's dangerous.
the best way to get your power back, though, is even if you have some fear-based entity or something
Step
messing
into
with
it.
you, is stop saying, "This is doing it to me. This thing is doing that to me." You say, "I am thinking this. I am feeling this." You take it back. You acknowledge you are feeling afraid. You are thinking some pretty awful thoughts, but they're yours.
I hug it. I have
Yeah.
gotten to the point where because I used to see that little girl's face, Reagan, the little creepy girl.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
used to see her face whenever I was getting ready to do something spiritual or meditate. That was my mind. I know that now, but I used to always see it, always say it was my indoctrination, and I got so tired of it. I was just like, fuck it, and I just hugged it. I was like, come here, and I just hugged the hell out of it, and I imagined light surrounding us, and it disappeared, and I was like, well, shit.
After I saw The Exorcist, for a couple of few decades after that, I was probably into my 30s. When I had, like, a particularly stressful day, particularly if I had bad indigestion, it was like a really bad indigestion kinda thing, I would have a reoccurring dream of somebody being possessed, just like in The Exorcist. And it took me a little bit, when I learned spirit release therapy and how to do spirit release work, it started to stop. But then I had a conversation with a quote unquote demon. Now we have to remember what we classify as a demon today in classical demonology comes from the Goetia, or the false hierarchy, books written in the Middle Ages, and they list 72 demons, the names of the demons, descriptions of the demons, what they do, how they do it, what's going on with them. But they always have this really confusing part. Like, if you need to earn money, call on this one. If you need to learn mathematics, call on this one. And it was just like, what? So I took a pause. Again, the fear stuff makes you shut down your critical thinking.
Yeah,
So if you take a pause, you take a breath, like, where do some of these names come from, like Belial and whatnot? And
yeah.
then you trace them back. These are deities, gods and goddesses from, like, Macedonia, Canaan, Babylon, pre-Semitic deities. And there's a habit of human cultures. Whenever you have a conquering culture come in, they demonize the previous cultures. So these demons were beloved,
Or
beneficial
deity.
deities from
They
old religions.
they did it across the board. They did it to the swastika. They bastardized that. That
Yep,
was originally peace and love.
very much.
Oh my God, they did it to ISIS.
And so I had a spontaneous connection with one of these quote unquote demons, these old gods, and I asked it about possession. And it kind of, in its way, looked me dead in the face, looked me dead in the eye, and said, been around for thousands of years, learned a lot of things, capable of doing a lot of stuff around here. Do you really think we would waste our time getting into the body of a little child flopping around cussing and puking? Come on. I went, okay, okay. And after that, I never had that dream ever again.
Love it. That's awesome. So and that is, uh, I would say theoretically, like taking your power back. Like the fear was able to dissipate. I would suspect your guides helped you with that. The whispers. Do you
Oh,
think
yeah,
that they were? Yeah.
all the time. But, they never force anything. That's the thing about,
No.
you can tell it. I tell this to people all the time. You can tell the difference between a higher level versus a lower level spirit. A higher level spirit will never force you. There's no sense of consequence. There's no sense of urgency. And I love Alan Kardec. He's like, when I read his stuff, I'm like, his all questions posed to spirit and spirit answers. And when he asks the question, I'm like, well, here's the answer to that. And then when the answer gets read back, I'm like, yep, that's just what I said. And so there are so many of these these things over and over, like why things get worse after an exorcism, because it's a tricksy person in the house. And now you go, oh, you think I'm a demon? Let's go stir some stuff up. Let's go stir up these troubles. And I kind of let my mind veer off of that one, but some of the answers he has down there, I'm just like, wow, yeah, that that matches my experience. And he talks about those lower level, higher level beings that, a higher level being doesn't care if you learn it and do it today. They don't care if you do it tomorrow. My guides have even said, we don't care if you don't get it till next lifetime. You'll get it. But a
Yeah.
lower level is like, no, you got to do it now. If you don't do it now, then there's the consequences, because they're
Yeah.
getting you to do it for its benefit.
That's where calling that light in really benefits that. You can even state, all that comes near me comes through this light with my highest and greatest intentions, my highest and greatest good. Be very specific about that, what you allow in your energy. I think that's important. I feel like
Yep.
this is a good one. I'm going to throw this one up here. My husband and I have seen and heard young spirits in our house. We have only lived there for 15 years, but since I've been following you, I'm not bothered by them anymore.
Good.
Everything. Love that, Mary Beth. Our house is only around 20 years old. Yeah, it doesn't matter how old your house is. It could be brand new and they don't have to die there. I was
Yep.
talking to Kaedrich about that before we came on. I was in, where did I say I was? Orcas Island here in Washington State. Some friends, we all got together, and my room was down the hallway upstairs, and my husband and I were walking by, and there's a little bed in the hallway for a little child, and there was literally a little girl sitting on the bed, and there was little rabbits on the bed. So when I asked her why she was there, she said she felt safe and she was drawn to the little bunny rabbits.
Yep.
Yep, but she had been taken out by a human, and so her little soul hadn't crossed. But we did sit there with her and help her through that. But she wasn't from that place. She didn't live there. She just was attached. She saw the bunnies. She
It's
saw the
like what my
bunnies.
wife and I encountered, because we work together to help resolve paranormal problems, paranormal issues. Amazing results with what we're getting. A local business called me in and said, hey, we've got reports of like spiritual activity. We think it's kids because people hear little footsteps. They sometimes hear laughter. It's scaring the night crew. They don't want to come in at work.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah, and even some of the employees have reported this, and they're getting a little creeped out. So I did like an initial walkthrough. I don't want to say investigation, but
Right.
because I don't use any of that gear, but did a little walkthrough, found a couple hot spots, and found the little girl's spirit, and she knew I was there to have her move on, and she didn't want anything to do with me. She was really snarky about it. She was like, nah, 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 nah. But I got the feeling from her as we were talking that she and her brother loved this place. They liked the energy, they liked the people. It's a great place to hang out, but she didn't want anything to do with me. She's just kind of like strong-willed,
Yeah.
nah, that kind of thing. So came home, talked to my wife about it, and she's like, maybe she would benefit from a motherly figure coming in.
Oh, yeah.
So we came in together and sat down on a couch, called over the little kids and had a conversation with them. And she was able to pick up that the little girl died from an illness in her bed. The boy accidentally got caught in a grain silo. And they were brother and sister. This was like pioneer times. There was like not much out there. And they were roaming around. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to go. But when this business opened up and the people moved, the people there are great. They're wonderful. They know about energy. They know how to make the place, they worked on the feng shui, lots
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah. Love that
crystals,
stuff.
they
Yeah.
know what they were doing. So those kids are like, hey, this is a great place to hang out and play. We don't want to go. And my wife and I were talking to these kids, and we like, okay, let's bring in the family. Let's bring in mom and dad and the rest of the family. It was a great reunion that they were like, oh my God, there you are. They finally got connected, and they offered this chance for the kids to go through with the family. And the kids are like, wait, we want to hang out a couple days because there are other things here that we want to say goodbye to. There are nature spirits that were in the building and other
Yes.
little things that you can't get rid of. You can't get rid of nature spirits. You can't get rid of house spirits. That's their
Oh, I
home.
got the goosebumps.
And so they just wanted to come by, hang out for a little while and play a little bit more and hang out and say goodbye to their friends. And then a few days later, I went back and did another follow-up just to check in, talk to people, feel the energy. The place where it was one of the big hotspots of energetic activity now felt like this pink, motherly, loving light in the area. The people who are sitting in that area is like something big time shifted here. Something massively has changed. It's like more peaceful. It's not so chaotic. It's calmer. Then I talked to the head of the cleaning crew, and he's like, "Oh no, no reports." Even the one lady who heard it all the time, scared by it, she's like, "No, it's gone. There's nothing here." And it was just resolved by a simple conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Just a simple conversation. All right, I'm going to open this one up. I have awakened to myself saying the Lord's Prayer when I dreamt about an evil deity trying to harm my family. I woke my husband up trying to scream the prayer. What would be the purpose of these kinds of dreams be? Well, I think whenever we have dreams, um, our dreams are to work things out that we're experiencing in our life. And that would be like not feeling safe to me. I mean, what is your thought on that one?
Yep, it's a combination of things. You're absolutely right. Our dreams will let us know. It's like the subconscious mind, the the emotional body is trying to work through something. And it's, think of it this way: when the emotional body communicates with the neocortex, basically the limbic system communicates to the neocortex, it's only transmitting emotion information.
Mhm.
That's it. Just basic emotion information. Your brain now has to interpret that into something. And that's where we start seeing somebody chasing us, and we're feeling the fear of somebody chasing us, because that fear is being interpreted as being chased or being attacked, or there's something threatening nearby, but it's just fear emotion being interpreted, which is why analyzing the symbols of your dream is so important. The
Yeah.
thing chasing you, the act of being chased, how you're being chased, each one of those is symbol, and you decode those at the emotional level, and you can determine what your emotional body was trying to tell you.
And what they mean to you, because for every person, they're a little different.
Exactly. That's why I don't recommend dream interpretation books.
Yeah.
Decode the
Yeah.
symbols for yourself.
Yeah. Smart.
But also when we're in our parasympathetic nervous system, when our we're taking in less input from our sensory organs, our spirit body tends to be a little more active, a little more alert, which is why spirits tend to come when we're sleeping or when we're relaxing, when we're done with the day. And it's not because the veil's thin or anything, it's because you're open to receiving.
Literally is when it's easiest for them to communicate as we're falling asleep and as we're waking up. So
Exactly.
those two times, it's like, oh, go now, get in there, go
Yep,
down.
when we're hypnagogic or hypnopompic.
Oh
Exactly.
shit!
And sometimes we do pick on something. We do pick up on it, and that again, our energy body is picking it up, communicating to the emotion body, communicating symbolically to our brain to let us be alert. So we do what we feel is the right thing. So
Yeah,
connecting to the sacred is a great way to chase away stuff, and it doesn't matter what it is. When it comes to like protecting the home, if you're Christian and you want to use a cross, great. If you're pagan and you want to use a pentagram, great. If you're heathen and you want to use Thor's hammer, great. The actual symbol doesn't do anything. It's just
the energy
material
you put
stuff.
into it. It's
The
the
energy
energy
you
you
put
put into
into it.
it.
It's your belief. It's your if you here's the secret to it. If you feel completely safe by whatever means it takes to feel completely safe, then you are.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that powerful? I hope everybody just heard that, what he just said. If you feel completely safe by whatever means that is, then you are. You don't necessarily have to have your cross, or you don't have to have any, like your jewelry, whatever that is, because you are safe. But you have to know you are. That's that. I love that you said that, and I hope everybody heard that. You have to believe you're safe.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll preach that until I'm blue in the face. Probably it's like, get rid of the fear, get rid of the fear, get rid of the fear. Know that you're okay, know that you're safe. I have a cousin who thought she had demons. She literally said, Melissa, I have my own demons. And I was like, oh, I was thinking, scary things in her life. She's like, no, I have real demons and they chase me. And so I was like, ooh, okay. So what do they want? I don't know. I said, well, ask them. I told her, Next time that demon comes to you, just hug it. And she was like, what? No. And I was like, hug it. And
Yeah.
so the next day I talked to her. She's like, I hugged it. And I said, what happened? She said, it ran from me. See?
Yep. That's what I
Would a
learned.
demon run?
That's what I learned from that story about Dr. Bradley. It's what I call the compassion shift. If
Yeah.
you think there is something negative in your house and you're getting scared by it for whatever reason, doesn't matter. Literally
Yeah.
doesn't matter why. But instead of asking, oh my God, what are you going to do to me? You
Oh,
ask, oh, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Do you need help? If it is a low level, negative, angry, whatever entity, it's going to bugger off. It's not going to like
yep.
that energy you're putting out.
Yeah.
More often than not, though, you're misinterpreting what's
Yeah.
going on. And
Yeah.
having that compassion builds that connection and it gives you that clarity. It shuts down that fear center, lets you have your critical thinking again. And
Yeah.
now you can actually connect to who's there and you realize, oh, it's just grandma coming by to say hi. And she always had a silly sense of humor. No, she always liked my jewelry. So
Yeah.
she was probably the thing over at my dresser playing with the jewelry box, not a demon
Right.
trying to scare me.
Exactly. I
And
love
I
that.
think that is one of the things that, and I want to, again, taking back our power and not externalizing our agency. I think one of the most committed mistakes, the mistake we make the most often, and I almost said the biggest mistake, but it's not the biggest, but one of the mistakes we make most often is trying to identify what the spirit is. We say, oh, that's a demon. Oh, that's a negative spirit. Oh, that's a mimic. Oh, that's a trickster spirit. Take a pause. Things are happening. The things that are happening is data. The way you are feeling, the way you are thinking is data. And if you approach it from this neutral perspective that you're just receiving data input, here's activity, here's how I feel and what I think about it, and here's what's going on, you can take that step back and go, what's really going on here? What could be causing that?
Yeah.
Because as soon as we label it a demon, and there's I'm not going to use names anymore, but there is a fairly famous duo that every time they came to somebody's house that had paranormal activity, even if it was a kid and they did it to children too, 100% of the time they told everybody involved this is a demonic attack, it's a demonic infestation, and the only thing we can do is call in the church and get approval for an exorcism, or we're going to do it ourselves, that kind of thing. and
Yeah.
and after they did that, everything got worse
Yeah.
every time, because they misidentified what was going on, because they came in with a presupposition that it's always demonic activity. They scared the hell out of everybody in that house because they told them it was a demon
They
and
threw
they
all
were
the
considered
energy at it.
authorities, and boom, it got worse every
Yeah.
single time just by mislabeling it as demonic or
Yeah.
evil.
How many times have you come across something that you really felt was dark?
Never.
I,
Never.
I will tell you, I was doing a reading just like this, and the lady was in this big building, and as I'm talking to her, I saw something that I would say looked like a black jaguar, but it was shadow-esque,
Hmm.
crawl across the ceiling coming towards the camera. And I was like, and so she was excited because I saw it too, because it was something that she had seen quite a bit, hadn't said anything, and sure enough. So it did startle me. I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, so you just had something crawl across your. So, any thoughts on what I mean? I
Yeah.
never did anything with it. We didn't run screaming or panicking, and I never felt any contact with it. But I just saw its presence.
Yeah, I'm going to reframe this in two different ways. Let's say we have a person in their life. They lived a difficult life. Things were hard on them. And the only way they learned to survive was by being brutal, by being aggressive and forceful. Maybe they had some sort of a neurological thing going on where they were angry all the time. Maybe they had some serious PTSD, and they did things that they're not proud of, they're ashamed of, that they may even traumatize themselves because of what they've done in that lifetime, but they were very angry, very bitter, resentful because of the way their life went.
Yeah,
When they died, they're going to carry that with them, and the chances of them crossing over are lower because these narratives about eternal punishment, about burning in the little pit of fire, lake of fire. They're like, I'm not going over there because I know where I'm going. I'm not going to do that. Well, there's no hell over there. There's nothing like that.
I've
And
never
so,
seen hell, and I've done
right.
thousands of readings.
And so they linger. There's still anger. They're still bitter. They're still resentful. They're still hostile, aggressive. And sometimes they will find, a nice, loving family or whatever. And they're like, ooh, screw this. I'm going to mess things up for them. But the thing that I want you to keep in mind is hurt people hurt people. That is true in the spirit realm. This is a hurt person expressing their pain the only way they were taught how to express their pain, through aggression.
Lashing
And so
out.
when
Yep.
you see activity like that, it's not an evil being, it's not a negative entity, it's somebody crying out in pain the only way they know how.
Now I want to go back there. Shit. Okay.
The other kind of big nasties, and I call them big nasties, are egregores.
Oh, yes. We've talked about those a little bit.
Yes. That if we have a
Okay.
collective belief about an
Yes.
object, a place, whatnot, our collective beliefs will build up into an energy form that has somewhat of a complex programming. It's still not sovereign. It's still not like complex like a human mind, but it thrives off of our belief for the scary stuff and the awful things. And so it will do whatever it needs to do to reaffirm our belief in it, which can be
Right.
some pretty scary stuff. But the moment we realize, oh, I'm feeding it, I'm giving it that, and you go to a neutral state, literally neutral. I've had people that have had some negative attachments that have persisted for a long time, and they were very good about doing their work. And their work was simply, oh, I am feeling this, I'm thinking this, and just being as neutral about it as I can. I guide them through a couple of exercises on how to build that
Awesome.
neutral place.
Yes.
But when that happens, they go neutral. The activity gets worse for a little bit because those entities aren't getting fed. They aren't getting what they got used to having.
Yeah.
But they persist in their neutral work every time it comes up. And then after a week, it kind of slows down. After 2 weeks, it's gone and it stays gone because they're no longer being fed. They're no longer being reinforced by whatever. And I do mean whatever that person's feeling. Like, oh, cool, this is coming on again. Don't even do that. Just like,
Right.
I'm okay. I'm feeling this aggression. I'm feeling this fear. I'm feeling this frustration. Well, I'm going to do something else now. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Do you think people who suffer from depression could tend to have an attachment?
We all do, no matter what we're feeling. I've seen
Yeah.
people get attachments from something that just keeps them happy, keeps them complacent, keeps them in a state of contented when they need to be up and doing stuff.
Do
They,
we have
they
one
come in
that can
every
keep
flavor.
me? Just kidding.
And I don't care who we are all potential to have attachments. We are all potential to have energetic influences, which is why I recommend daily energy.
Say that again. You cut out for
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry. I recommend daily energy hygiene.
Yes.
Clear your
Yeah.
energy fields, clear the room around you, clear that space, build it up with the energy that you do want.
Yes.
Because it's like barnacles on a ship. If you get too many barnacles on a ship, it slows it down. It makes it use too much fuel to go. So you have to
Yeah.
scrape off the barnacles. So just do it as a regular daily
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Shit, I've had them. I'd
Oh,
call them hitchhikers or ankle biters.
yeah,
But
everybody does.
yeah.
It's a
So,
natural part of the supernatural.
yeah. Right. Yeah. I think when it gets scary is when people build them up to be more than they are,
Yep.
or and give them too much power. I've seen mediums that do that, and like, oh God, you're going to terrify the shit out of somebody, and that's not going to help.
I will tell you, the story is more powerful than the experience,
Yes.
which is why I tell you don't try to identify what it is because you might misidentify it.
Yep.
You
I
know,
love that. I love that. Okay, so did we talk about the bridge of compassion?
a little bit. Yeah, that's that compassion shift.
Oh,
What
yes.
I recommend you do is anytime something's in the house, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, don't be afraid of it. Be neutral if you're feeling something, but at the same time, go, can I help you? Feel that compassion, offer that compassion, because more than likely you're misinterpreting what's going on and it will build that connection. It will start the healing process. But if there is one of those angry people out there or whatever, it's not going to
Yeah.
like that. If it's a low level bottom feeder, an ankle biter, I like that. It's
Yeah.
not going to like that, and it's not going to know what to do with that compassion energy, and it's just going to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. Advanced reasons. We talked about that. Advanced beings. Did we talk about that? How I know we talked about how some people may show up as children when they're in spirit, but advanced beings could show up as children.
Yeah, we
Did
talked
we
a little
talk
bit
about
about
that?
that, how they can show up like symbolically to let you know that they're not
Yeah.
threatening, that they're playful, and you should be playful too. This is what happens at me at every time I have a seance. Every time there's a little girl in a white dress that shows up 100% of the time, and she's there to remind us to have fun.
Uh,
And my wife and I did a recent seance a couple seances ago for somebody's birthday party. We got hired to do a seance at a birthday party. And it was most of the people in attendance were mediums or tarot card readers. They were in this space already. They were
yes.
digging it. And sure enough, one of the ladies at the table said, "Hey, there's a little girl that just came in wearing a white dress and she's feeling fun. It's like she's telling us to play with things and have fun." I'm like, "Oh, she came. She showed up."
How
So she
fun
showed
is
up
that?
every time just to be there. And I don't think she died as a little girl. I think she's more of an advanced being
Yep.
to come in to mitigate the fear, to mitigate the sorrow, just to show up as a non-threatening, playful little child to have
And
fun.
to feel safe. She just barges her way in. Okay.
So yeah, advanced beings can show up as a kid. So whenever you see a little child, don't assume. I'll give you another story about not assuming children. Uh, because one of the aspects of kids is sometimes they know they're dead. Sometimes they went through the whole transition process. They've hung out in the afterlife and they come back to Earth in the physical world just to explore, just to play, just to have a good time. So one time I was in space by myself, just opening up the communicating with spirit, and these two scary looking things
Yeah.
showed up in the room. And I'm like, but feeling with my senses, and I'm like, you don't feel scary. What's going on here? I'm like, who are you? What are you guys doing here? And they took off their quote unquote masks,
Uh,
and it was little kids. And they're
uh,
like, we're dead. We know we're ghosts. Their words, right? But aren't ghosts supposed to be scary? So they put on costumes to play around as kids to be scary
yeah.
ghosts.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
That's so. And your guides will do that too. They'll not put on costumes to be scary, but they'll present in a way that you need them to. Just like if a being shows up with wings, I personally have never seen them with wings, but they will show up if you believe that they're supposed to have them, or
Yep.
if you feel like I need this to feel safe, they'll present in that way for you.
And I've seen guides show up as scary things a little bit, causing disruption a little bit because that tension, that stress that they're giving you is causing you to make a growth, causing you to learn a new skill and develop some new
Which is their
abilities.
job.
Which, yeah, exactly.
I call it breadcrumbing, where they can't fix it for us, but they can put us in situations and breadcrumb us to go here, go this direction, stay on your journey. This is what you came here to figure out.
Exactly. There was one client I worked with thought he was dealing with something bad in his house because it was messing with the lights. It had the whole scary, oppressive feeling. And I'm working with him and I'm like, we need to do shadow work because he had a lot of fear around having his subtle abilities about his gifts. And so we did that shadow work. And then I told him, that was a guide coming there to mess with you, to tell you that you have your abilities, that you needed to do something to reach out to find out how to awaken your abilities and develop them. And so he started to develop them. He's working with them. He worked with the
Oh,
shadow work to get through the fear. Of course, it all stopped. And now the guide's just kind of like standing there with their arms crossed, just like, I told you. See, I know you can
that's
do it.
awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, the paranormal isn't anything to fear, and I love that you're preaching that and you're teaching that. So hopefully we keep spreading the word and get the vibration of planet Earth raised. Okay, sir. It's 5:55. There's some change coming.
Indeed.
Indeed. Okay, so I I do have to close early tonight. For everybody who showed up, thank you so much for showing up. If you have questions, drop them and maybe we can get to them if we do this again. So
Absolutely. Always
awesome.
here.
Awesome. Okay, so you and I will get something scheduled and I will end the stream. So thanks, kids. Have a wonderful night.